So I think we're ready to take a look at continuation of the public hearing and the decision on 1 and 5 Concord. And I can't believe it, but I think this may be it.
We're hoping. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We did some revised documents, which, I apologize that they came to you pretty late, Mark, but if you've had a chance to look at what were in the revisions.
I printed off what came earlier in the afternoon and looked at online what came very late in the afternoon.
Okay.
I was out of the office by then, but I did see them. If you have a copy of the last one for me, that would be great.
Which one is the last one, the red line version? Or?
The one that you have before you is the...
Well, we have 3.
You have 3 different
pieces.
Documents. One's
Yeah.
the subdivision, one's the special
Right.
permit, and one's the design standard.
The exhibits, yeah. That's is the exhibit what you're looking for?
The exhibit, yeah, he's actually looking for all of them. Okay, here. Oops. And the exhibits, there's 2 of them.
Okay.
Well, 2 copies.
Okay.
And does that have red lines over the earlier version this afternoon?
I asked for some of this to be copied with red line, and it somehow didn't end up that way.
Right.
Hang on. There's 2 of those.
Okay. Can you tell me?
So I don't understand.
Okay.
Are these 2 copies exactly alike?
Right, 7, 8?
This is the subdivision decision. This
Okay.
is the special permit.
All right,
Which
so
one are we doing first?
let's do the definitive subdivision first, and then move on to the special permit, and then move on to there's only one really small change in the design standards. So taking a look at the definitive first.
All I noted in this, Mr. Chairman, was the question that Betsy left in number 10 in the conditions.
Yeah, that's actually my comment in number 10, because I can't quite get 9 and 10 to jive together. Because 9 says within 2 years of the subdivision approval or upon the sale of lot 3, the improvements will be built. And then number 10 says that site plan approval is required for lot 2 and lot 3 before any work is.
So
Did that just
could
get
we
changed because that used to say before any work completed on the site, so maybe that's the solution.
Is that how is it inconsistent?
I slightly modified number 10.
Maybe that's how.
Because I kind of think of the road as a separate entity from lots 1 and 2, even though the road goes through lots 1 and 2. So if we can somehow exempt the common roadway,
The road doesn't go through lots 1 and 2.
so it's separate.
Yeah.
Well, it's all in lot 3.
Yeah.
100% in lot 3.
Okay. So,
Do you
The reverse.
Let me ask just a
Okay.
question. I think you do. I think the answer is yes. You want us to come in for a site plan approval of the road construction on lot 3 before we commence, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think they're inconsistent. Because,
I'm not,
yeah,
I'm trying to understand what your concern is, Steve. I'm
Yeah, I'm
not
to
sure I
find
understand
my-
it.
Because, well, first of all, I think Betsy changed it, which maybe solves the problem, but it said site plan approval is required for Lot 2 and Lot 3
yeah.
prior to any work being completed on the site, which meant any road improvements.
And I think on the site is clearer.
And that, but you're saying that you can't start any work on the site until you have site plan approval for Lot 2 and 3. Well, first of all, Lot 2 could be way down the road, and so you still want to be able to do the improvements before you get site plan approval on Lot 2. But then but up above, you say you can't do the improvements until the sale of Lot 3. Well, the sale of Lot 3, I presume, comes before the site plan approval for Lot 3. So I don't see how they're...
Well, I think you're sticking us with the construction on Lot 3. So I think the site plan comes before the sale. The sale meaning the consummation of the sale.
So it would be contingent, the sale of Lot 3 would be contingent on getting the site plan approval for a house of X size.
Well, we've got our size limits in Exhibit 1, so we're going to be able to advertise on that basis. I would suggest that in number 10, site plan approval is required for Lot 2 and or Lot 3, not and, prior to any work being commenced, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Being commenced on what, is the
On
question?
on Lot 2 or Lot 3.
And that includes the roadway, because
Either
the
one.
roadway is part of Lot 3?
Yeah, but I think you're right, Steve, it shouldn't group 2 with 3, because we may never get to 2, but just make it so that it's clear that before we start work on 3, we need site plan approval for 3, and on 2, we need site plan approval for 2.
Okay, and you're saying site plan approval comes before the sale of the lot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're asking Jim and Ann to put the improvements in.
Right.
At least to a certain point.
As long as we get 9 and 10 working together,
I think 10
it's
should go
fine.
before 9. Because 10 is to start and 9 is to end. Just flip them.
So we're saying now that site plan approval is required for any lot,
For Lot 2
2 and 3.
or what lot, one could fit in here too, for any lot prior to work being commenced.
Well, there's certain kinds of work on one that would be okay, wouldn't there?
Such as what?
They were gonna put the,
Ordinary maintenance.
do the roof,
Yeah.
change the windows.
Site plan of approval is required for any lot, and that prior to commencement of work, except for ordinary maintenance on existing structures, or something like that.
Yeah, you've got.
What about a demo permit?
For one, you've got the exterior of the existing residence shall not be altered or enlarged without a special permit, let
Yeah.
alone site plan.
So we've got the boots.
You got the boots
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
That's in the special permit.
Yeah. Okay. So,
So you're proposing that we keep the language in 10 and move it up to become 9, and then 9 becomes 10?
But
Yeah.
10 gets modified a
yeah,
little.
it would have to.
First, you get rid of the stuff in the brackets, of course, but then the first sentence of it will be site plan approval is required for Lot 2 or
Lot
Lot
three.
3
Yeah.
prior to any work being
Prior to the
commenced
commencement of any work. Prior to the commencement of any work.
on Lots 2 or 3.
Right.
Well, it's just, you just repeat.
Or prior to the commencement of any work, period.
Yeah.
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 I don't, you can keep the final coat of asphalt sentence, but
I think it's silly. If you never sell lot 2, you're gonna be without a finished coat of asphalt.
well, no, it's just a driveway on Lot 2.
Yeah, you're gonna be without a finish coat for lot 3 if,
On the common
The
driveway.
intent of that
We
was
just bond
to
that.
make sure that they weren't doing construction over a final coat of asphalt.
right.
So,
What if lot 2 never sells? or sells 10 years from now.
Right, okay.
Well, no, I mean, the intent, this is the way we usually do it. We usually require that the binder course go down and that the final asphalt course not get installed until the construction is finished.
Right.
And so what this is grappling with is that requirement, and I think that would apply in the event that Lot 2 is somehow not sold until after the completion of work on Lot 3, or something like that. I mean, what you're saying is that the final asphalt coat gets installed on the roadway after Lot 3 construction is completed, assuming that nothing's happening on Lot 2. I mean, that's the intent of it.
Right.
And so maybe, that's what you say, that the final asphalt coat won't be installed until construction is completed on Lot 3, if no construction has begun on Lot 2, or something like that. Otherwise, the final asphalt course would be installed after construction is complete on Lot 2. Isn't that what you're trying to say?
Would it be similar, just to give the, say that it would not be, the final coat would not be installed until after construction on both lots, or a period of years would sunset the requirement? Would that be a simpler thing to understand?
So lots 2 and 3, unless if within 2 years Lot 2 doesn't sell, then the final coat goes on, or a year it goes on.
Either one.
Or it may go on.
Right.
Yep.
Take your pick, doesn't matter. Which do you like, Betsy?
Either way is fine by me.
It's fine with me either way too.
Yeah,
You want to read the two? I don't know if you have them written down.
I would just say, wait a minute, the final coat of asphalt on the common roadway shall not be installed until site plan approvals for Lot 3.
no, until construction is completed on
Until
Lot 3.
construction is, wait a minute, not be installed until site plan approval.
It's not about site plan approval,
No.
it's about construction being complete on Lot 3.
Good
Okay,
too.
wait a minute, installed until construction on site, on Lot 3 has been completed.
Well, 2 and 3, or so many years have gone, 2 years have elapsed, and then they can go ahead and do it, even if Lot 2 hasn't been done. Been sold.
But don't you want it done when Lot 3 is done?
Right.
You don't want to wait 2 years after Lot 3 is done, and Lot 2 is still,
I
nothing's
think in the
happening.
site plan for Lot 2, you tell them that if they tear up the driveway, they gotta fix it.
Right, that's why I pegged it to Lot 3
Yeah.
only.
Okay.
And then I said
All right,
that, in the event that Lot 2, if construction begins on Lot 2, simultaneously with construction on Lot 3, then the final coat doesn't go down until the construction is completed on whichever lot is the last to finish, or I don't know how to put that
Well,
exactly.
that actually is the easiest to understand and kind of gets to the intent of this whole thing.
Yeah,
Okay,
in
so
the event
until construction on
construction-
Lot 3 has been completed, if construction on Lot 2, then construction completion on Lot 2, or a sunset.
No, what we're saying is that if Lot 3 completes construction
Right.
before anything happens on Lot 2, then the final asphalt course goes down. If, however, construction begins on Lot 2 simultaneously with construction on Lot 3, then the final asphalt course goes down after all construction is completed. Isn't that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
And in
So-
the event construction is not commenced on Lot 2, simultaneous with Lot 3, the site plan review of Lot 2 shall include conditions for the repair of the roadway if necessary.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's 3 parts.
right.
That's good, that's good.
Okay. So that moves up and becomes
Logical.
9, and 9 shifts down and
Logical.
becomes 10. All right.
That's all I had in that one.
So where's number 11?
Yeah. Where is number 11?
Yeah, I think that all those numbers got changed. So that the last one is 17 and not 18.
Right.
I think 11 is prior
Prior to
to the construction of the roadway and utilities.
Oh, yeah, you're right, that is
11, okay.
Yeah, that's 11.
So this is like,
All right.
Now, I have a question. And this has been brought up, and a number of communities work it so that just the lotting plan is recorded at the registry. Other communities record the entire set, which includes the details on how the construction of the roadway is supposed to happen and other related information beyond the lot, grading, things like that, beyond the lotting plan. Now, Winchester, the planning board would approve a set of plans, same true with a number of communities I work in, but what would happen is just the lotting plan would get recorded. So in the process of doing that, a lot of information was missed. And grading, drainage, utilities, things like that. So I've always been a fan of recording the whole set. But I notice you historically have been looking at just doing the lotting plan. So,
It's been a, okay, institutional memory. At one point, we recorded everything at the registry. And then there was some discussion with applicants about the fact that that got to be onerous. Because this, there's so many documents that sometimes it's overwhelming. So we backed off from that, but I don't remember where we were, say when Susan Haber left the planner's office. I don't remember what her policy was. I'm inclined to go back to that level for information about what we should be doing
I
on
mean,
a
the
policy
other
level.
option is to say the applicant can record the lotting plan, however, it needs to be understood and highlighted that the developer or applicant must abide by the whole thing.
Yeah.
Kind of highlight it, so,
Right. No, I understand what you're saying, because the backing off also has produced some complications down the road when purchasers claim not to know what the requirements are because they're not in the registry,
right,
and the attorney doing due diligence doesn't
right,
follow up and track the decisions. So then we have the awkward situation where we're having meetings with applicants that claim total ignorance of anything that we've required. So it's a sword that cuts both ways. And I'd be inclined to lean in the direction of more information being registered just because of that than the reverse. I don't know about how
Is there
anybody
any
else.
other option besides the deeds to register and I mean, can
See
you put
what-
something in the deed saying there's some important papers you gotta go look at in the town planner's office?
please review the entire plans, or,
She just said that.
Yeah.
She just
the
said they
entire
don't.
plan set.
Yeah. That doesn't mean they're going to do it.
Doesn't mean they're gonna do it.
And, it does, don't know, it does get to be a real problem, because you don't know if they're telling you the straight truth, they're just
I mean,
trying
I've
to.
ended up with a number of people in the office in the last, I would say, 2 weeks, where, people come in and they say, oh, well, I didn't really know that, or,
We get it a lot.
Yeah, but that's the problem between them and their lawyer doing due diligence.
right.
Yeah, but it lands in
No,
her
I
lap.
understand that, but then,
But she then has to
they
explain
end
it
up on
over and
my
over.
doorstep, and 45 minutes later,
Yeah. You
you
get to
know,
do it all over
You've
again.
got to practice your surprise look. Your lawyer didn't tell you that?
and this was, properties that people bought 5, 10 years ago, whatever.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I think Susan was here when we changed that.
Yeah, well, she was, but I don't know how far back she dialed it back. I just don't know
I
where
do
she
know that
was.
Judith Cutler was adamant about getting the whole set.
I know.
But
I mean,
as
again,
I
I-
understand it, it's become a lot more expensive to record at the registry.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, it creates commentary on the, if you ask for the whole set, you're gonna get commentary on that because how onerous the requirement is. On the other hand, you wind up having the same conversation over and over when people claim they didn't realize that these things were required. So the question is, which creates more difficulties? Again, I think it creates fewer difficulties to have more on file at the
I
registry.
agree.
We have copies of
More is
everything
more.
here, right?
Mhm.
But
And if someone comes in for a building permit, and it is under site plan review, then the building commissioner should say, well, if this is under site plan review, you need to get copies of that, which are wherever we're storing them, basement, I don't know where we store them, okay?
Well, that's part of the problem.
And-
Nobody else does either. When the projects get to be old, it gets to be hard to find them in town, find the
So
documents.
that might be
that's
that might be a solution, is in terms of developing, it's a good use for the old library.
If it's recorded at the registry, you can just go
It's not a
online
problem,
and get the
right.
whole thing.
Right.
Exactly.
Right, right,
Just,
well,
yeah. And there's never an issue of the town ran out of space and somebody
Well,
left work and retired and
We
nobody
lost
knows
that
where
drawing.
it is, and,
We can't find a copy of it, we
Got
don't know where it
burned
is.
one time, had a little fire.
right, or any number of things. So, because I was thinking, well, the other thing is perhaps, I don't know if there's a specific format that you register things at the deed, but having it, right up front, this is an incomplete set. I mean, and there is X amount of documentation, in the Weston Town Hall and board plans, but you're right, it gets lost. It gets
We've run into
untrackable.
that.
Yeah.
We've run
So,
into that. We
okay.
can't find it. We don't know what
Yeah.
that drawing said.
I'm
or
beginning
we-
to hear what you're saying.
So, I mean, this is a policy decision that at some point,
Yeah.
you might want
I
to take a
think
look at.
we'd follow your recommendation.
Well, let's put it this way, when I worked in Winchester and everybody had recorded lighting plans, if they were modifying them, I made them record the entire set.
If that's your recommendation, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I am too.
Okay. Good.
There I have.
do we need a motion to that?
Yeah, let's, why don't we vote then on the definitive plan? Unless we just want to keep meeting on this project until we're all 90 years old. Anybody want to move to?
I'd prefer to move that we, excuse me, do we close the hearing first on the definitive plan? Or do we just,
Make the motion
which one?
on the definitive plan.
But to close it or to vote on it?
To vote to approve the
Okay.
decision.
I move that we approve the definitive plan decision for 1 to 5 Concord Road as modified.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Motion to close the hearing? Anyone?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Definitive plan is done.
Halfway home.
Also,
Can't
Betsy,
believe it.
Wait a minute,
Okay.
who provided a second on closing the hearing?
everybody did.
Okay.
Say David. Okay. Going on
Just
to,
half a second, I want to make
Oh.
sure that our change in sort of policy about recordation of the entire, recording of the entire package now down at the D is in there with a little bit of an explanation of why it's in there. So we have some to look back on. When somebody questions us 2 years from now, why did that happen?
Isn't it an internal thing?
I don't know, but I'd like it in the minutes.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
all. I just,
okay.
maybe it's not a votable.
I'll have
I'd like
some,
it in the minutes.
I have some discussion.
Okay.
So, okay. So now the special permit.
all right. By the way, Mark,
Hmm.
who is the official owner of the property?
We have an LLC, One Concord Road LLC, that owns One Concord Road, and then 5 Concord Road. The road is owned by the Townhouse Road Realty Trust, which we,
So it's a limited liability corporation for one lot and a trust for the other?
that's right, yeah.
Is it a real estate investment trust?
No,
It's not. But who is authorized in either case to execute an agreement on behalf of the corporation and the trust?
okay. We can just say Ann and me. I mean,
Okay,
we're the co-owners of each one.
okay.
So do those have to be listed in the?
Well, my question is, do we list?
The LLC,
The
do we list
LLC and
the
the trust?
technical owners?
Yeah, we
Okay,
have to
so you
list
need
that.
to provide that,
Will do.
Okay.
okay.
All right, okay. And Jim, if you could just give Betsy the authorization for the corporation and the trust that grants you the ability to execute an agreement on behalf of them, you and Ann.
Okay.
That would be, then.
Then I can integrate that in.
Okay. What is that?
No problem, I'll just
Okay.
prepare something.
Okay.
Also, while we're talking about ownership, in both documents, I think we need to be consistent on what we call you, and for the most part, I think I made it consistent, but I'm not sure we want to use this terminology, which is owner/applicant/subdivider. So we can leave it like that and make sure it's consistent in both documents and call it owner, applicant, subdivider, or we can decide amongst ourselves that we should just call them applicant or
Applicant's
subdivider.
determined, so-
I don't think we should call them owner, because later on we talk about the owners of lots 2 and 3, and that gets too
Yeah, it
confusing.
does get confusing.
Well,
So-
applicant is the term used in the subdivision control law, and it means the owner of the land.
Right, in past
Okay.
decisions, we've referred to the person as the subdivider.
But the subdivider's not necessarily the applicant, well, I don't know.
I think
It's all
subdivider
over
and
the
applicant
place.
are
Are synonymous. I
Well,
mean,
you could say
let's stick with
applicant/subdivider,
applicant.
whatever you want to do. I just want to
Be
decide what that
consistent.
terminology should be and be consistent in both documents.
I think it, just to be consistent within our own documentation, I think the word subdivider is in there somewhere, because we've always called them a subdivider.
So do we want to then call it applicant/subdivider throughout?
Sure, that's
Forget
fine
the
with
owner
me.
part?
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so
that's
does
what we'll
that
do
mean
in
you're
both
modifying your
own
definitive subdivision?
modifications.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do
So-
both.
You have
Yeah,
to
we have
modify
to-
that.
We have to modify
Okay, so
the,
you're
We just have to
removing
search for
owner.
that word throughout both,
Okay, throughout.
because it's there.
And then you have to, in the special permit, it just says owned by. So now you're going to insert
The
owner
name-
applicant?
The name of the trust.
these things are going to be cleaned up as
Trustees.
Yeah.
the format, right, Betsy?
Yeah.
I mean, in the definitives, the format creeps into the letterhead and.
Right. Yeah, that's gonna get all cleaned up.
Okay. And here we have 2 different size typefaces. And
Yeah,
And some red and some black.
Mark, did you have any?
I'm not trying to be rude here, I'm trying to get Jay LaVoy, because the one question we have is on page 12, where Betsy flags something.
Right.
And I'm going to text Jay right now, and then once he looks at it, I'll put him on speaker.
Is this on the certificate of action?
Yeah, this is on the special permit. It's at the very end because Jay said that the secondary reserve area, in fact, in this particular case, is part of the main system. And it's not what it usually is, and therefore I assume that means that the areas will be disturbed and the trees and shrubs will be removed, which is the opposite of what we normally say.
That's not what he said in the presentation.
What he said in his email last week, here it is for the septic systems, as we noted before, the reserve area is part of the main system, so the reserve area can't be shown as an area of secondary disturbance. So I changed that paragraph accordingly, but I noted that we have to make sure we're
Did you
doing the right
write-
thing.
Which one, did you write 13?
Yes.
You actually wrote that?
Well, I modified it to be consistent with what Jay said, and that's why I said we need
This
to
is
confirm it.
totally,
Well,
yeah, this is
that's
totally
exactly-
what usually does not happen.
Right, that's why I wanted to make sure it was flagged. So I didn't get it.
It should be maybe, right?
Yeah, maybe.
There's no reason why the reserve system should involve any clearing at all. It's a reserve system.
Right. I know.
So,
He's thinking on it. He just got home from a meeting and he got my email. He's taking a look, so he knows to get back to us here. What did we do before this? I was stuck in the Atlanta
We would've-
airport for 6 hours yesterday, and 9 or 10 people sat there the entire time like this.
We would have been doing this till we were 90.
all right, so that's a question. We're going to wait for an answer on that one.
And that's the only one I had.
Oh, hell.
That's not good.
We didn't vote the waivers. Right, Betsy?
Right.
We didn't vote the
Well, you
waivers.
voted the whole decision.
But usually there've
You-
been two motions where we actually voted the waivers first
Okay.
and then
Okay, I
voted the.
was not aware of that.
I mean, is it okay with you if we just voted the whole thing
Yeah.
and don't vote the waivers specifically?
Yeah, I mean,
It
if
is.
you want, I mean,
Well, yeah, we voted the whole thing, the waivers are part of it.
right.
Okay.
And the language on the top of page 2 specifically talks about the waivers. And,
Yeah, no, I know.
Which is what had been discussed in prior meetings.
Right, it's just that in the past, we've always specifically voted the waivers and then voted the rest of the decision, but
Okay, well, that's good.
it's up to, if you don't think it's necessary.
I don't think it's necessary. If
Okay.
it's been your process in the past,
Well,
then we will do it on future ones.
Okay,
I'm looking for appeals and I'm comfortable with it. The standard is whether your decision reflects a conscious awareness of the waivers that you granted, and when you got them in writing like that, it's fine.
yeah, okay.
Jay's really thinking.
Well, in any case, if at some point the reserve areas, which should not be,
I think
Clear.
they may be disturbed, but let me,
wait a minute, if, in any case, if it comes back that they need to be disturbed at some point in the future, then that should come back for site plan approval.
Let's get him on speaker. Hang on 1 second.
Okay, while we're waiting for that, Steve, you had some comments, so why don't we start going through those? For example, page 7, top of the page. What's going on there?
okay, so Betsy had deleted that, but I looked at my notes from our last meeting, and as I understood it, I could be wrong, we decided to take out this paragraph that talks about the financial institution, blah, blah, blah. But the applicant was okay with keeping in this paragraph, part offering an offer for sale.
Yeah.
So I put that one back in. And I just wanted to make sure.
Keep you on the phone and say
Okay.
that, see how it flows.
So you just reintroduced that particular
Yes,
paragraph?
that's all I
Okay.
did.
Okay. in this.
Yeah.
Is everybody okay with that? That's the bank signing off on
That's
the
fine.
equity.
As long as
Yeah,
everyone
it's just
remembers
one
that I
typo,
thought the
and
standard
lot
was
two
a
should,
realtor.
lot should be.
You thought the
and should
standard
be-
was what?
A realtor, so testifying rather than an appraiser. We talked about this last week. Can we deal with Jay and then come back to this?
Or just one comment, at the bottom of that paragraph 3 on page 7, lot 2, that lot should be capitalized, right? It's just a typo, it's a small typo.
Well, there's a few of those.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through it
Okay.
and clean it
4
up.
is
Okay.
also, let's hear from Jay.
Ready?
Okay,
Okay, Jay. I'm going to repeat what you said on the phone. I have you on speaker. So it should say the approval of the wastewater systems for lot 2 and 3 shall be subject to BOH approval. The proposed reserve septic areas on lot 2 and 3 are integrated with the primary areas rather than are integral to the main wastewater systems. The reserve septic areas on lot 2 and 3 are integrated with the primary areas.
primary areas, period.
Period, and I don't think you need the last sentence, because you're obviously going to disturb the primary areas.
Yep, that's what I was saying.
So there are no secondary areas in this case?
Did you
No,
hear?
yeah, exactly. The primary, because the reserve area is basically in between each primary trench. Therefore, they're all combined into one section, one area.
Yeah.
So there's no more disturbance than what's shown on the plans?
Yeah, so as shown on the plan, that's the limit of disturbances. So basically, sometimes we'll separate the primary and reserve areas. And so then that's when we know that the reserve area will only be disturbed as a secondary disturbance. But in this case, both the primary and the reserves are intertwined together.
Okay,
So
it's like a crosshatch design.
yeah.
Okay. Questions for Jay?
So that last sentence is completely removed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just a cross out, correct, Jay? It's gone.
Strike.
Okay, striking out the last sentence of therefore these reserved septic areas shall be disturbed and the trees and shrubs shall be removed.
And the word integral is replaced by.
Integrated.
Well, we're
Integrated.
saying the proposed reserve septic areas are integrated with the primary areas.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That would be the way to say it.
Okay.
Okay, I got that, Jay.
All right, go eat dinner, Jay, thank you.
Wait, Jay.
Oh, wait a minute. One more
Something
thing.
else,
Typically have in there.
Sunday Woods, I didn't get a chance to finish those, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that's what it
Just
says.
goes
flip
away.
you
It just
to
goes
the
away.
Yeah.
meeting next week, and I'll
Pull
try
them
to give you
together.
priority.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you very much, Jay.
Okay, you want 'em? Okay.
We're good.
You, okay, bye-bye.
Did you want to go back to page 7, or are we,
We're good.
We're set.
can we go to the bottom of page 6 then? Item 11. We were just talking about this. So we're going to just say, right, well, I don't know, this is a little different.
Oh, right.
This isn't
Yeah.
recordation, though. Do we want to also say all plans, or just the lotting plan?
I think we say all plans.
Okay.
Okay.
So then everything after all plans gets crossed out. So then, we could go back to page 7, item 5. This used to be item 13, and, well, I can't say in the version last week it was item 13, but, hold on a second.
Doesn't really belong there.
Well,
How did it wind up as item 5?
okay, let me,
C of O.
so,
The heading on 11 is prior to the endorsement of the plans. So this comes long after that.
How did it wind up as item 5?
Hold on a minute. Well, because this one is just talking about the constructed utilities and roadway improvements. It's not talking about the monumentation required for all the lots, which is a different item. And I'm just trying to find out where this was before.
Who moved it?
This should
I
really
did.
go at the end.
Oh, you moved it?
Yeah,
Why did you do that?
because I didn't think it was in the right place.
Oh, but this talks about a C of O.
Yeah, so this
Well, that
would
was my
This
question.
would go way to the end.
In my email, I was asking, I took that, there was no clause in it before, there was no prior to the issuance. It just started, shall provide an as-built plan. And so I took that clause from the version from June 4th, but I'm not sure that was the correct condition, that it should be the conveyance of Lot 3 rather than certificate of occupancy, which is why I raised the question.
Well,
I think it goes after 13.
what are you trying to do? I guess that's my question.
Well, make sure that we have an as-built.
Yeah.
Well, that's,
Right,
there's
but,
But
two
of
different,
Are you talking,
Okay,
is this, you're talking about the as-built of the roadway?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
yes.
Okay, and you wanted to tie that to the C of O because it won't be finished until after
No,
Lot 3 is done?
I'm not saying, it's not that I wanted to tie it to a CFO. I don't know if it belongs, if it's a CFO or if it's a conveyance. What I was trying to tie it to is that section which has to do with
I think I found it.
the building.
It was part of 10 the last time.
Was it 10? I don't know why I put 13.
Well, anyway, what are we trying to do? I am.
Yeah, he had a good reason for this.
We don't have a problem with it, but I think it's
It's
in the
fine, as
wrong
long as it's,
paragraph.
Well,
as long as I know where
what I
Yeah,
need to
for
know
no reason, yeah.
is it certificate of occupancy or conveyance?
Certificate of occupancy.
Okay.
okay,
So
can I just add to the fray here?
Find where it was.
On number 13, on the middle of page 8, it says prior to the conveyance of a lot, monumentation satisfactory to the planning board shall be placed by the owner applicant as either.
Right, that's
perimeter-
different.
That's monumentation, that's different.
That's
He's looking for
monumentation.
as-built of something.
Right, and I don't know,
What
I
are
can't
what are you
find where it
looking
was
for
before.
as-built of?
Well, this
Am I
is
doing it?
roadway as-built including monumentation in 5. So it seems like it should be before C of O of Lot 3.
Page 11.
What should? I'm still not
The
clear.
as-built, I would like to see an as-built before the base coat of asphalt.
Is this
No,
the
no,
one she
he's
sent
talking
us?
about the post-construction as-built of the
I'm
roadway.
trying to find the one she sent.
That's what he's
What
talking
section is
about.
that?
Okay. But see, I would like to see an as-built before the asphalt goes down. Any amount of, just listen, hear me out.
Okay, okay.
Because what happens is, oftentimes, the utilities are not fully documented. So before the asphalt goes down, document the utilities, and then you can put the asphalt down. I mean, I've had a number of projects where they've not tested the water lines, they've put the asphalt down, and then ultimately what's happened is they've had to pull up at the base coat of asphalt because it hasn't been properly put, the water lines weren't properly tested and failed.
Do we,
So now,
what are we trying
okay,
to do?
where it was before was right before item 13 on page 8.
What is it?
This number 5 that you're questioning where it belongs.
I'm just
The number
questioning
5
what it is you're trying to do. That's my question.
All I was trying to do is move it before, this is what it said before.
What is it?
That, let me just finish
Okay.
my sentence.
Okay, sorry.
The paragraph said, an as-built plan of the constructed utilities and roadway improvements, including monumentation. It was missing a clause. And then it went on to say this plan shall include the locations of all relocated or construction stone walls and retaining walls, blah, blah, blah. So it needed this prior to something, so that's what I added. And it used to be on the next page, right before item 13. And since it was talking about the roadway and utilities, I moved it to the section about the roadway and utilities. And as I said in my email, I wasn't sure that I chose the right clause. Perhaps it's not the final certificate of occupancy. Perhaps it's conveying to something else.
Could I make a suggestion? That we're talking about an as-built process. So step one is documentation of monumentation. Step two is documentation of utility installation. Step three is documentation and confirmation of the asphalt and paving. Is that what we're trying to get at? That we want to be sure that we confirm that what's built is what's drawn, and so we start with
And works.
it works. And so if we start by saying, I'm suggesting maybe instead of a subparagraph here, it's a paragraph that says as-built documentation, starting with A, monumentation, B, utility installation, C, finish and paving, or something like that. Does that get at where we wanted to go? Or am I... And C would have to be done prior to the C of O for the building on lot 3 being issued.
What's C?
C is the paving installation. That's the final as-built confirmation. That's what would have to be documented before the C of O could be issued. Does that sound like what we're trying to get at? Or
I think so.
does that seem like a reasonable thing? So that instead of having 2 or 3 paragraphs around here, you say you have a paragraph entitled, it's paragraph whatever it is, 16, entitled as-built documentation. And then you move, well, I guess it would be 15, you move the monumentation down into it, you move this paragraph 5 down into it.
Well, if I can make a suggestion, because somebody's going to have to read this and make sure that it's all being done correctly. 11's in the right place,
Yeah,
and then I would put 12 now,
okay,
but I'd take 5 out of 11.
or just move it.
Put it towards the back, right? Because chronologically, it happens at the end.
It goes under this, as-built documentation general paragraph.
Yeah?
It says,
Prior to the conveyance of the lot? Yeah.
it's not, actually, maybe we have to write a new paragraph that says, that we're, prior to the issuance of a final certificate of occupancy, the responsible person shall provide an as-built plan of the entire constructed
I agree.
roadway. But before that comes the paragraph on monumentation, and then second would be the paragraph on utility installation.
So we could just leave 13 where it is, which is the one about monumentation.
Are you saying you're adding like number 16 now? That'll be a whole nother paragraph prior to the issuance of the COA?
Well, that
You're
will be
adding
this
something
5
13, 14, 15?
rewritten.
I don't think anybody's actually hearing me. I'm
Yeah,
saying,
we are.
well, then why would we leave monumentation where it is? We're putting that into as a subparagraph under as-built documentation.
I thought monumentation was different, but. that's
Well, it's
fine.
the step 1. Step 1 of the documentation is monumentation.
Okay.
Step 2 is utility confirmation. Step 3 is finishing the roadway work, which has to be done before the C of O is granted.
Okay.
So that was all in
I'll
item
tell you what.
5, which is moved.
So item 5 gets rewritten.
And I think
On
it should
page
become
7.
14.
Right.
Well, that's-
That should become 14.
That's what I was suggesting. You leave Could leave
Okay.
13 where it is.
Yeah,
Then
well,
what happens
Or,
to 14?
yeah, or ABC.
Becomes 15.
yeah, no.
Okay.
Okay, so 5 gets
Becomes
moved,
14.
gets rewritten,
Right. it's
and
rewritten.
it gets rewritten as part of the new 14. 14 becomes 15,
Mhm.
Um,
Which is a special
15
permit.
becomes
But-
16.
and 15 becomes 16.
Okay, but Al
And what about
wants
the
13 to be
COA?
part of this, so I think all of these become part of 13, A, B, C.
Well, the
Yeah.
13 is talking about actually putting the monumentation in the ground and having somebody do a field inspection, as opposed to putting the monumentation in the as-built
In a
plan.
plan.
It's a separate step.
Yeah,
It's a
so
separate-
strike
I know.
half of,
Okay,
strike
it's
half
going
of the
around
water.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
So,
You can keep the first half of 13.
so I think we've got that. The way
Then,
that it was
right,
described.
the second half of 13 goes into the,
Fine.
goes into this
14.
new
New
paragraph called as-built documentation.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, so who's gonna crank that out?
I will.
You ready for a motion?
No, I think Steve may have more. Do you have more comments, Steve?
Let's see. Okay, I don't know that anyone cares, but there used to be under item, it's such a mess, under item 11, I guess, the last clause in item 11 said, talked about a violation, and said violation of or failure to comply with any condition of this decision, and I just moved it to the end of section A, number 15 on page 8. Because that's where I thought it belonged, instead of kind of in the middle of the general conditions.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Everyone agree with that? I didn't change the wording, I just moved.
Yeah.
So
okay.
that's the new 16.
Whatever.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Right.
The one that starts violation of or
Correct.
failure
Right.
to comply?
yeah.
Okay.
Can I talk about my pet peeve?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think you should put a period after deemed appropriate by the planning board at its sole discretion. If we violate the terms and conditions of a special permit, it's a zoning violation, it's enforceable by action of the building commissioner. He can take us to court, he can get a equitable relief, he can write us up for jury of 6, criminal complaint.
Modification involves this group
Modification,
again.
yeah, modification and nullification are not remedies identified in the statute. You can't self-modify. You can self-modify a subdivision, but not a special permit, because it's in the special permit.
Well, I don't know who originally wrote that paragraph. I just
I
moved
think it
it.
was one of your traditional things that Susan.
Well, I'm sorry, Mark, are you suggesting taking out at its sole discretion? Is
No,
that-
period, after at its sole discretion.
And deleting everything after
Yeah,
discretion.
it's just, I see this a lot of times in a lot of different towns, and I just don't think boards have the authority to do it. I would never let one of my boards do it, so I'm just spouting. You can do with it what you want. We're not going to violate it anyway.
I sort of, it's like belt and suspenders.
Sounds ominous.
Yeah, it sounds ominous.
Except there's a lawsuit when you try to nullify something and somebody doesn't like it.
Yeah, I think it's
Not
part
me,
of our.
I'm friendly, but beware.
I think it's part of our, it's been part of our standard boilerplate forever. Maybe it's, I don't know.
Result in any action deemed appropriate. Corporal punishment?
I had a zoning case recently in which the judge said, if you don't have a demo contract for that structure to me by December 16th, I will incarcerate you.
Very good.
He produced the contract.
I don't have a problem with or without the period. I'm fine with it as it is, but I don't think it'll make a difference. It'll be a lawsuit anyway.
I prefer, if it's 50/50, I prefer to leave it in.
I could err on the side of leaving it in myself.
Yeah. It's fine.
Maybe it went to sleep on it.
What, is it not working?
No, she's just give her a second.
I just stopped writing for a while and it just got in the way.
Just write that.
Yeah.
Mess with it.
Okay. Where are we? Steve,
I
do you have
think-
anything else?
No, I'm good. I don't think there are any other
Sure.
comments in there, yep.
Okay.
Oh, is everyone okay with,
So no one's going to get
Hold
to
on.
see the final version before we.
I'm gonna send it out to everybody tomorrow morning
so on page,
with highlights.
You're gonna have it done by tomorrow morning, this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
on page,
You're not going to have the ownership probably tomorrow morning, do you think?
No. Depends on when.
I wouldn't say that.
It'll be here bright and early.
Well,
Okay.
good. I prefer not to get many more versions.
Oh, I'm not, no, I want to get everything
I've got
and then just do it once.
25 of them sitting on my computer now. That's an exaggeration, but I have a lot.
It'll be here bright and early.
so, on page, on page 11, item 6, just wanted to make sure that everyone was okay with the change in wording, which again is according to Jay's email. So it used to say all utilities for lots 2 and 3 shall be on the proposed new driveway, and now it says shall be buried under or adjacent to
I recall
the
that
proposed new
wasn't
driveway.
it sometimes that it sort of jogged?
Mhm.
Yeah, he talked about this at the last meeting.
I would say
Last week.
adjacent to the proposed new driveway in the easement area, because it's so labeled on the plan.
Okay.
Shouldn't we change driveway to common road?
Common roadway.
Make it look more like a
Yeah,
plan.
we have to make that consistent.
Yeah, I'll go back and.
I mean, that's one of the things that's an absolute must.
Also, Betsy, in that sentence, on the first line, to and the are still one word.
I wouldn't,
Okay.
give yourself
Got it.
time to get this right.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't say tomorrow morning and then
Right.
All right.
rush it out of here. I mean, here, on page 10, for example, we've got it called common roadway, and then in the next paragraph, we've got it called common driveway. You know what I'm saying?
Plus there's 1,000 little owners throughout both of these.
Many authors.
Steve, are you still searching for something?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, would you want to consider Exhibit 1 since it's a part of this before you make any
Yeah,
motion?
Exhibit 1, the
Yes.
only change was
Face to
face, from
Facade.
envelope to face.
sign.
That was consistent with the language in the
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was on page,
That was the
the last,
Page 6.
6.
right.
Second bullet after 3.
Still wish that's a 12 instead of 14.
So, in the design,
Gave me some wiggle room.
so in the design document where we say it's a shared driveway, it's actually a common road.
Common
So it would
roadway.
be
That's the-
Everywhere, it's three.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Common roadway.
There's a function within Word, right?
Yeah.
That you say it's a rule anywhere
Mhm.
where it says driveway replace with
Yeah.
roadway.
Yeah,
Do that.
it's a wonderful feature.
Right, but in some cases, it just says driveway, it doesn't say common. So,
They all have to be consistent.
Yeah.
We'll fix it.
Well, it's gonna need another eyeball run through anyway, so.
Right.
What's your target to get this back up?
At the end of the week at this point.
Okay, I'd like to go through it just for editing purposes, because we're gonna have to live with it.
Yeah.
So-
Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Good.
You might want to look at the red line version that she sent you today, because it would make clear all the kind of things we were talking
Yeah,
about.
absolutely.
What actually got deleted and moved and.
I'm gonna let you make a crack at it, and then I'll take a crack at it on top of the new base document, because I don't want to take any responsibility for a new base document.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Good. Anybody else have any other additions, modifications, suggestions?
All
Roy?
right. So you're still.
My name's still gone.
What's on the
Name.
God, I fixed all of those.
Yeah, that's right. Chattel.
Where's that?
You're
Wait,
suddenly
where's that?
French, Roy.
My shut down.
At least it's not Shop Road.
Okay, so somebody want to move to?
I move that we approve the certificate of action for the special permit for 1 to 5 Concord Road as amended, including the Exhibit 1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? That's it.
Hey, thank you. That's great. Thank you very much.
Board members, it's been a delight. It's certainly been a learning experience for me.
It's been fun.
I really appreciate all the hard work you put in.
I don't-
Thank you very much.
I don't know how I'm going to live my life now with a flag hanging over my head.
Thank you, Al.
All right, Jeff.
That's it, we'll be on it. Good luck. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Oh.
Thank you, Betsy.
Okay.